organizational demands. That's ministry. It's a holistic thing. Ministry begins with the character and spiritual health of the pastor. Character and spiritual health of the pastor. And extends to family life, congregational leadership, pastoral care, communication, and vision casting. Apparently, to succeed in this multifaceted ministry, you need several things to equip you. Your desire is to lead a healthy, growing church while also struggling to maintain personal integrity. Of course, you need to balance all this with spiritual vitality. Otherwise, how do you survive? Talking about personal integrity, you really have to be careful to merge your private conduct with your public conduct. If you are able to merge them, it will help you. One day, a senior minister, I will not mention, visited me, and I was seated with him with my wife at home. Then all of a sudden, another senior colleague was seen heading towards the home. Immediately, the senior minister who came earlier, who is senior to all of us, said, "Hey," he mentioned the other person's name and said, "Hey, he's on his way here. I hope he's not going to tell another lie." My wife was sitting there. I was shocked, but my wife was even more shocked. Later on, she asked me, "Do you know that for him? Is he a liar?" I said, "Well, I was fumbling because, but I know the person. I didn't know that senior minister knew him as someone who tells a lot of lies. And the way he said it in a spontaneous fashion, it hit me very hard. Now, if people look at you this way, you are in serious trouble. Because whatever you say doesn't mean anything to them. They will not tell you. They don't even have the courage to tell you. But they will gossip behind you. And they will engineer others to also believe what they know about you. Once you lose integrity, your ministry has no basis. So we really have to be careful. Let's learn to be authentic. Now, I started by mentioning character and spiritual health. So let's proceed with that. Your personal and spiritual life. Your personal and spiritual life. Ministry effectiveness flows from your relationship with God. And I'm sure we all know that. Ministry effectiveness flows from your relationship with God. To lead others, therefore, you must cultivate your own spiritual maturity. And to cultivate spiritual maturity, you must practice vibrant prayer life, integrity, which I mentioned earlier, humility. Humility, oh, pastors. If you allow spiritual pride to take the better part of you, you might think you are cruising up there. But you would have been living in your own world, completely disconnected from reality. They will see you as an ivory tower who is disconnected from the aspirations of the people you claim to be leading. Humility. If you know you struggle with pride, ask God to help you because He is willing to help you. Flexibility. Pastors must learn to be flexible. I had a lecture in the evening yesterday, BTH Evening School, and somebody brought in the Lord's Supper, who qualifies to partake of it, and all those controversies. And they were trying to rely on Paul's writings. And I said, go and read that text carefully. Paul didn't talk about people confessing sins or anything. I'm not saying Paul applauded people when they were sinful. But in that discussion, he was addressing the problem of classism and division among believers. So if you want to stand on that passage to discuss who qualifies to come or not, don't bring in other things, because those colleagues, those friends were talking about polygamy. Why should we allow someone to have two wives and partake of the elements? And then they went on and on and on. That same person also made reference to side chicks, men with side chicks, and even said some are even bold enough to want to marry them. Why should we admit them, and so on? So I gave a hypothetical example. I said, assuming the pastor who now, we are dealing with men, so the pastor himself has side chicks, but no one knows. And he is the one serving communion. And then he comes to say, hey, you, because you have two wives legally married. Of course, not spiritually, theologically married, but legally married. Because you have two, you don't come. What will you describe that to be? Isn't that hypocrisy? So then the woman began to think about it. I said, look, let's separate discipline of church members from the administration of rights. Because this man was polygamous, and yet you baptized him. Baptism is a sacrament just like the communion. So why are you then denying him? We are not even consistent. And if you are not consistent, you cannot be authentic. Look, I'm not saying go and violate the rules and guidelines that your church has set for regulating who can come to the Lord's table and all those. But I'm saying let's learn to be flexible and humble and even Christ-like. Because Christ was not so keen on driving away people simply because he knows that they were living in sin and that kind of thing. We can help the people to reform and transform, and that is the purpose of Christian discipleship. So be flexible. You also need commitment. All those, prayer, integrity, humility, flexibility, commitment, you need them as foundational qualities as a minister. All of this is to make the point that your public ministry can never rise above the quality of your private devotion. Your public ministry can never rise above the quality of your private devotion. A vibrant prayer life, consistent Bible study, and wholehearted obedience to Christ provide the spiritual power necessary for ministry. Pray, study the Bible, but also obey the commands of the Lord as written in the scriptures, wholeheartedly, not selectively. I am not by any stretch of imagination suggesting that these are easy things to do. I'm not. I know it's hard. It's a struggle. And if you are an authentic minister, you will acknowledge that you are learning every day, growing every day, struggling every day. But the Holy Spirit is willing to help us. Jesus is willing to help us. And that is why we must persist. I mentioned integrity. The reason why you have to prioritize integrity is because credibility is one of your greatest assets as a pastor. Credibility. If people can trust you because you are authentic and genuine, it's a great asset. But it can be lost easily. Credibility can be lost easily. One small instance of indiscretion, and it is gone. One small act of pride, and your credibility is gone. So we really have to guard against the loss of credibility. Pride, dishonesty, or even moral failure can make you lose credibility. When pastors fall into sin, it's usually a tragedy, especially when it is openly known. Those who are willing to admit their failure would humble themselves, ask for forgiveness, and do the needful. Unfortunately, we now have, of course, those are not the type of congregations you are going to pastor, I hope. But we now have the situation where a pastor openly falls into some embarrassing moral failure. And the church members will say, well, he's our pastor. We like it that way. So then they will urge you on simply to continue. And you assume that you have support. But you should ask yourself whether in the eyes of the Lord, you are still a minister in good standing or a minister who has lost his credibility or her credibility. So friends, be willing to admit mistakes. Accept responsibility, because that's the way you model Christ-like character. You are human, so if you make mistakes, admit that you are wrong. Accept responsibility. If you are leading people and you are leading a church and you have struggles, let's say financial, whatever, don't be quick to blame, for example, your predecessors. The pastor who left before you. And they spent so many years. What did they do? What did they do? Well, they have finished their work and they have moved on. It's now your turn. If you think something is broken, that's why you've been brought there to fix it. So you concentrate on that. In doing that, don't encourage church members to try to report things to you about the previous minister, previous society steward, previous catechist, and those sort of things. Don't encourage them. After all, in most churches, you have a station diary to give you some good orientation about what has happened before, so that that can inform you. Be very careful about those who run to you to come and tell you who to fear, or who to be cautious about. Those are the very people who are going to destroy you. So be very careful about them. Look, when they come, you listen to them. Even though it's not a good thing to encourage people to indulge in gossip, at least listen to them. And when they are done, thank them. But don't work with those things they have told you. Not even one, I can assure you. Even if they are good things. As long as they are referring to people and telling you who they are and that kind of, if he has come with ideas, you see, suggestions as to how we can move forward together, that's a different thing. You should by all means accept them. But if they have come to speak to you about, hey, you have to be careful about that presbyter, he does that, or be careful about that group leader. Those are the people who are going to destroy your ministry if you allow them. Beyond competence, trustworthiness is also crucial to leadership. That's why I'm talking about integrity. Congregations are more likely to follow leaders whose lives reflect the message they preach. If you don't practice what you preach, that's a big disconnect. People are likely to follow leaders whose lives reflect the message they preach. Now, here is the one that we must not forget, because I told you about your personal character spiritual development, which also flows into family life. Never neglect your spouse and children in pursuit of ministry success. Never neglect your spouse and children in pursuit of ministry success. Because doing so will ultimately undermine your witness. You have heard a child say to a visitor, "Which pastor? Which father? Which daddy?" We have a pastor in this house, but not a father. A child is reported to have said that about his pastor father. Yesterday, after everything, I went to teach evening school. By the time I got home, everyone was asleep. Just before one of my children left for school this morning, "You didn't come to pray yesterday." That was what he told me. "You didn't come to pray yesterday." Because I hadn't made any effort to explain that I'll be missing that evening prayer. This is a 4-year-old, almost like my grandson, but it's my son. OH son. He's watching everything. And you know how children will do it directly. You don't need anybody's apology. You didn't come to pray yesterday. Never neglect your spouse and children in pursuit of ministry success, because doing so will undermine your witness. Home relationships is a powerful fuel for ministry. If people want to know your character, want to do a little research, it's easy. They can talk to your driver. Because your driver, most of the time so just allow me to say, he is with you a lot of times, in all kinds of moments. Those moments of joy, or jest, or anger, when you are on the call with someone, you think he is driving, but he is also listening. And the way you treat him, when people talk to him, he will tell them things. Your house help, your garden boy. As for your spouse, perhaps if she's not angry, she might try to cover you, or he. But if your spouse is also unhappy, he or she will let out things, and you'll be exposed easily. So you really cannot hide. A driver told me before, as for my boss, when we travel, as soon as we arrive, he tells me to park the car, and he takes the key from me. He doesn't even care where I sleep. A pastor's driver told me this. And pastors do that. Don't argue that, it is the responsibility of the church to give what per diem and investing in your marriage, learn to communicate openly with family members and create an atmosphere of affirmation and support. Also, for maybe you had a MSc land economy before you came here, and then MDiv, you have finished. After 3 years, after ordination, maybe there's an opportunity for further studies. You go and do maybe an MTH or DMin or something. You are rising and rising and rising. Your spouse completed JHS. And because of her low education background, she's very loyal. She is eager to keep the marriage. You are not making any investment into her life. All of a sudden, PhD holder, you've been made some director. You have started attending conferences. People are inviting you to parties. Then you start complaining that your spouse, your wife doesn't know how to dress. But when you were rising, you didn't remember to invest in her. Let's intentionally invest in them. Even if they give excuses, let us remember that we are in it together. We should be rising together. If you know you are going to be Buklon, at least let your wife or husband also get to the level of masters, at the very least. Otherwise, you will soon begin to think, oh, my spouse is not my class. At the time you were marrying, was she your class? These are real things, so I'm telling you, I'm leading pastors. One time I went to suggest to our leadership that I wish you would appoint one person ministry, but rather a testimony to God's grace and faithfulness. And I'll tell you, give you an example of a dysfunctional family and its effect on the pastor's ministry. There was this pastor who had 2 children, a boy and a girl. As the boy grew into a young man, he was apparently very distanced from his father. The pastor was always busy, not coming home often, never finding time to talk to his son. And you see, boys, if you think you are a man, remember that your boy is a potential man. They like to be negotiated with, not to be given instructions. Do this, no questions, do this. They don't want that. And if you are doing it to them, they may not have the power to challenge you at this point, but they are hoarding everything. They are keeping everything, recording everything. When they become man, they will show you that there are 2 men in that home. So this young man, what he decided to do at a time when everything had reached a bad climax was that he got a motorbike for himself. He will wait until the whole church has assembled for worship. Then on Sunday, then he will jump onto his motorbike and be riding back and forth. riding right in front of the chapel. When that did not attract attention, you know what he did next? He parked the motorbike and stepped into the chapel. Then he will begin to talk. You people, you dey listen to this man, you shout, Papa, this man be liar. This man be thief. You know, go fit trust him. It be me, they tell you, I be in son. He went to the chapel and be saying things like this. And I'm telling you a real story. How did they get there? Those little moments that you neglected, those opportunities you missed to interact with your children, to bring them on board, play with them, make them feel a part of the family. Those are the things that led to that point. Now, let me give you a funny example. Look, in my village, it is said that if your chair says you are farted, you can never defend yourself. It's coming right from your own home. So how do you convince anybody that this boy is just telling lies? Nobody will even believe. The church people perhaps just bow their heads because this one is too much. Complete embarrassment. So please, be very careful about how you treat your family. I mentioned earlier that if anything happens and you can't continue with ministry, you return to your family. Practice personal discipline. Be business-like in your ministerial career. Manage your time wisely. Care for your spiritual and emotional health. Emotional health. And establish boundaries to protect you from burnout. Look, you are not Jesus. Don't be too accessible. Yesterday, just before I left the office, I noticed that something was brewing in my church. Some new information had come. New worrying information about financial accountability, management of some resources in some section of the church. And people began, you know what's up? People began sending documents. And then when my eyes hit some of them, Prof, have you also read this? Have you seen these documents? I knew that this is going to drain me. So many messages were coming. And then calls were coming. In situations like that, when you try to catch a little sleep, please go and put that phone somewhere. Because people will be calling, others will be sending messages, and some people, even when they are going to bath, they are your mental health is at stake. Too much pressure. After work, you are tired. Even your son is complaining that he didn't come to pray. You are now going to respond to calls. At least go and rest a bit. When I got up this morning, usually I don't go to my phone until I've done my basic routines and all that. When I checked, people had started calling from 5. His own disciples to go and pray, to have a retreat and so on. Please take those things seriously. If you are fortunate to be a full-time minister, Monday is your Sabbath. Please take it. Move away from the home. Go and do an activity that is not related to ministry. You can go and, if there's a beach, go and sit there and just be watching the waves. Or even if you're in a rural area, go to some forest walking around listening to the cry of the birds and let fresh air. I'm telling you, forget about ministry for that moment. Haba, nipa baby. Look, sometimes being the president of this school, chairman, if you have office hours, help people to respect it. When you are supposed to be there, make sure you are there and respond to people. So that if you are on break, you are on break. Very often when I go on break in the afternoon, I tell my personal assistant, please, don't call me. Don't talk to me about emergency. 1 hour. Nobody will die. So please, let me go. Come back in peace. Sometimes when the pressure is on her, she violate the rule and call. She violate the rule and call. You know. So self-care and spiritual renewal are all essential for long-term ministry effectiveness. Make friends in ministry. Do you know the question of who pastors the pastor? So have friends, year mates. Don't think these are casual relationships that should end. One day, if you need 3 days to run away from all the emotionally draining burdens, you can go to your friend's manse and hide in a guest room for 3 days. Nobody will see you. His wife, if he's a man, will even cook for you for free. I'm already promising you that. But you too must be a good friend so that you can reciprocate it as well. You need the space sometimes. Ministry is a marathon, not a sprint. So you must develop sustainable habits, the necessary resilience to continue for a long time, to serve faithfully for many years. And God being our helper, we will do so. The next one, pastoral care and ministry responsibilities. As a pastor, you are a shepherd. Therefore, your role extends beyond preaching to include caring for people in every season of life. As a pastor, if people are happy, they will invite you. If they are sad, they will invite you. If they are celebrating, they will invite you. In all those seasons of their lives, children graduating, a new house built, fresh car bought. You may not have bought one before, but they will invite you. And you must also learn to rejoice with them, because if you are only going to rejoice over your own successes, you'll be a very unhappy man or woman all your life, because many times there will be nothing to rejoice about, only burdens to carry. Only burdens to carry. So you enter into people's lives because they want you to care for them. I cannot buy a house or rent a house at Trasaco, but I've gone into homes there because church members live in those places and those kind of things. So we must take note that we need to care for them. They need your presence. They need your compassion. They need your attentiveness to their needs. And as a pastor, you are a person of rites and ceremonies. You know that. I don't need to tell you. You will conduct weddings, funerals, hospital visits, counseling sessions, worship services, and so on. Notice that these ministry moments often leave lasting impressions on individuals and families. These are moments that leave lasting memories on the people you minister to. Therefore, approach them with sensitivity, preparation, and professionalism. Sensitivity, preparation, and professionalism. Be professional in your ministry. Prepare for every occasion and do it well. I remember some time ago I was invited to the University of Ghana Business School to speak with some people about some issues. I had finished my part and the program was delaying, so I whispered to the MC or whoever that it was a Saturday. I needed to go and prepare for Sunday, so I wanted to be excused. The man was so surprised to hear that the pastor needed time to prepare before church. And I don't know what his surprise was. Wow, he says he's going to prepare for service, so he has to be excused. I was wondering what was extraordinary about it. But it tells you the kind of perceptions people have. They think, you see, Osofu, you have memorized the Bible, it's already there. All the sermons are in your head. All the counseling skills are in your head. So when the time comes, Samson, I'll just strengthen myself just once. That's what they are thinking. They were surprised. He was surprised to hear that I'm going to prepare. You know? No wonder when a pastor informed his church that he was going on leave, someone whispered to the other, and so for then you might know I'll call leave. See? That's the mentality. They don't see the burden you are under. So you be sensitive, prepare very well, be professional, ask the Lord to give you wisdom to convert each moment into an opportunity for disciple making. A lawyer who belonged to another church lost his wife, who was a member of my church. They had in fact, a baby, not a child. They had a baby, and the woman died and left the baby behind. In a moment like this, the man needed huge pastoral care. After interacting with him for a while, I realized that even his level of Christianity was very weak. Lawyer man, busy attending court and putting it to people. He probably wasn't finding time to pray or anything. I got a young, committed church member to journey along with him, visiting him, praying with him, and we showed concern. The lawyer has become a friend. When on a particular occasion I was doing fundraising to buy land for a church I was pastoring, he alone gave more than half of the amount. I only picked up a phone and called him. Also, don't worry, I'll be there. You know how they speak. Busy man. He came with his big car and gave more than half because of some small pastoral care in a difficult moment of his life. He even confessed to me that, but for the fact that he is of an evangelist. Of course, you know these are not my words. Do the work of an evangelist. Lead by example in sharing the gospel and helping churches develop a culture of discipleship, evangelism, and outreach. Encourage personal evangelism. Follow up with visitors and intentional efforts to reconnect with inactive church members. Visitors and inactive church members. They are like low-hanging fruits. Take advantage. Also learn to delegate tasks because it is an essential leadership skill that expands the church's capacity for ministry. You cannot be there all the time. So build up people. If you have difficulty trusting people, then mentor them yourselves and share with them some of the skills that make you unique so that you can trust them. If you are not there, they can do what you would expect them to do. Bishop-elect talked about learning. If you stop learning, you become stale. Recently, I received reports that some people, roommates on campus, could not agree among themselves. So I talked to them and I said, you can't resolve interpersonal conflict between you and your colleague. Can you pastor a church? Go and find out the conflicts waiting for you there to resolve. You don't know how to live at peace with your colleague who is even a pastor like you. You think you can resolve conflicts in the congregation? You may be deceiving yourself. Charity begins at home. So friends, learn all kinds of things. Read all kinds of things. You can see a magazine written by Ekanka. Just read it. Rotary Club may invite you to come and speak. Go and read their newsletter first. Know everything. Freemasons may be doing some interaction and they want you. Tell them, show me your whatever concept information about you. I want to know. Read. Read newspaper. Read Business and Financial Times. Don't say, oh, me, I'm not an accountant. Oh, I'm not. One day, somebody will put you into trouble and you need just a little information to be able to take yourself out. Your church is starting businesses. Have you read the Companies Act for yourself before? Maybe they want to make you a director of the company. Do you know the responsibilities? You allow them to just list you as director. Tomorrow when trouble comes, when you are held before a court, that's when you will see that you are in serious trouble. So read things about all those. Read about political philosophy, why politicians behave the way they do. Read widely. Read about conflict resolution, different types, ADR, alternative dispute resolution. Read about mediation. You need all those. Otherwise, if you are ill-informed, you will really struggle. There are conflicts that you must deal with. Learn about change management. Learn about church revitalization. As I said, you can read the autobiographies of great ministers who have gone before you. Read the history of your own church and of some churches. You will learn a lot from all these to enhance your own ministry competence. While resistance and disagreement are inevitable in ministry, avoiding conflict will destroy congregational harmony. You cannot avoid conflict. Some people tend to avoid conflicts and think that or hope that it will go away. It will not go away. You must resolve it. But you must learn ways in which you resolve it or resolve the conflicts peacefully. Honestly and graciously seek unity without compromising biblical principles. In all matters, friends, try to remain patient and focused on God's mission, even when facing criticism and opposition. Bishop-elect, how much time do I have left? Oh, okay. I am moving to the last session. Leadership, vision, and communication. You are a leader to guide your church towards God-given goals. No doubt about that. Effective leadership requires vision, planning, and the ability to inspire others. Help your congregation to see possibilities beyond their current circumstances and motivate them to pursue God's purposes together. Facilitate activity in the church, the ministries in the church. Always learn to influence others to act in a positive direction, the direction that you have all, the course that you have all charted for yourself, based on the vision you have as a leader. If, as a leader, you fail to articulate a compelling future, your church will stagnate because nobody will be following you. Therefore, prayerfully discern God's direction and communicate that vision clearly and repeatedly. A shared vision unites people, provides purpose, and helps ministries remain focused in the midst of competing priorities. Now, the information about leadership may involve a lot of jargons, but let me try to summarize it a bit by saying you need to build strong teams. So you cannot do the work alone. And the ministry has so many departments and dimensions and diverse requirements. So you need to build strong teams rather than attempting to do everything yourself. Once I visited a hospital before I became president, and I was restless. I didn't even know what was happening. Jesus is the greatest example. Paul is another very powerful example. If you think about all the proteges Paul has in the New Testament, there are about 10 of them. So many people. And he invested a lot into them. He could courageously leave the ministry to them, a newly planted church, into their hands and move on to another place, because he knew that they will also equip the people, ordain elders, and leave the tax to them, and also move on to another place. It is surely one way of multiplying your own effectiveness and to create a legacy that extends beyond your own tenure. Leadership development is therefore not optional, but central to long-term church health. The other critical issue is communication. Communication is critical to pastoral ministry. It is a critical pastoral skill. As a pastor, you must learn how to communicate. Because whether you are preaching sermons, or you are leading meetings, or you are counseling individuals, you need to communicate with clarity and compassion. If you can't get your point across accurately, nobody will understand you. Nobody will follow you. Nobody will get the point you are making. So you will not be able to make the desired impact. I encourage you to read and learn about public speaking, strengthen interpersonal communication, and adapt to changing methods of communication in a rapidly evolving world. Things are changing very fast in our world, and we have to adjust. Of course, you need to embrace useful technologies and contemporary tools while remaining faithful to biblical truth. Because with the contemporary tools also comes the desire to undermine the truth of the Bible. See, especially when it comes to postmodernism and its claims. Coaching, organizational development, and business tend to mimic some aspects of pastoral ministry. Therefore, learn effective skills such as planning, goal setting, team building, and organizational leadership from such fields to enhance your own ministry. The business people have some skills we can learn from. We are holding our biblical truth as foundational and fundamental, while also opening up to learn about people. It's good for a pastor to have some basic skills of psychology, learn about sociology, anthropology, knowing how people behave, because they are the people you are working with. Bear in mind, however, that ministry is fundamentally spiritual and must ever remain Christ-centered. In conclusion, I would like to say successful ministry requires both spiritual depth and practical competence. As a pastor, you need both. You need devotion, and you also need leadership. Cultivate a strong relationship with God. Maintain a healthy relationship with your family. Healthy, strong, fruitful relationship with your family. Learn to care for people faithfully. Lead your people with wisdom and vision. Learn to communicate effectively and to develop others for service. In sum, character, sustained prayer, and effective leadership will help enhance your ministry. Thank you very much.
Asamabo. So I shock one. Anyway, me mean to me can be BRB. All that I expected him to speak about, he has. Was stretch a crab so maybe. Okay. If you have anything to ask him, as for today, you are permitted. After here, question time. Everybody is quiet, right? Well, she experienced it means you people are fine. Why? Because he has to answer, me answer.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, President. At this point, I'm even confused whether to ask the question. Yes, he has successfully intimidated me. So, President, please, I wanted to ask if you could mention the title of the book and the author to us again.
The guy is called Stan Tolle. Stan is S-T-A-N. The Tolle is T-O-L-E-R. Practical Pastoral Ministry Guide. Something of the sort. That's the title. He is an American. You're okay? Yeah. I'm sure if you type it in some search engine, you'll get the information easily.
Thank you very much. President, please, you mentioned about integrity, and I want to say this. When we were having a class with you, you mentioned that when you took office as the president of the seminary, there were some influences for you to have some relationship with political.
Atishimo jabi ya buena noa. Ekaya. Nansem semansi usuche yamkwano. Odia kukwetra nanimu. Obuya bime. Afobu bini wa mayambio. Yentem jina fuwa Yesu moja. Rijimaya. We are seeing who man can see out. Yamani muwa. Mirani daswasano. Yamaya jidiye so kwa ibomuwa. Moja ninti nyami ajano. Dasuma buwe. Yentem jina fuwa Yesu moja. Rijimaya. We are seeing who man can see out. Yamani muwa. Mirani daswasano. Yakoya koto jani paibo moa. Moja ninti nyami ajano. Dasu yeah. Wasanya mabewa. Antishi moja. Ejina hi. Wasanya mabewa jiana. Okay, yeah, ni moja no sonfo. Oshisha mania abruyan so I fire no mama. Watch ye no say for one some more. Yentem jina for Yesu moja. Rijima ye. We are see a huma kesi yao. Yamani moa. Mirani daswasano. Yamaya chidiya so paibo moa. Moja ninti nyami ajano. Yeah. Senye. Oh. Wansani amamewa. Atishi moja. Yeah. Oh. Wansani amamewa jiana. Oh, yeah, Nakaya Titi Dada. Yes, Wama. Osani Ame Wajiana. Nesuni Majanis, yes, say yo. Wasanya mamewa. Are you here? Are you here? Are you here? Are you ready? Woso asase. But when you nyam se oria. Asase kikane waya me no chere. Nipa to me nam ne sunyina. Woso asase. Woso ponini ewo munyina. Na wo me gu asema nitia no. Wo me fa wo durim na ne matso ase. Ojojo yakra. Oh, Mary Pamo. Oh, Mary Pamo. Yeah, mama. Oh, Mary Pamo. Oh, my soul. Are you ready for the second one? Say was such a fool. Wakumu wakufo. Oh, I went to what would need some so. Why ukura? The one near some safua. Hey, yeah. And man is a woo. Chop, 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 chop. Atishi moja pia buena noa. Ekaya. Nansem sema se usuche yamkwano. Otia kukwetra na limo. Obuya bime. Afobu bini wa mayambio. Yentem jina fuwa Yesu moja. Rijimaya. We are seeing Huma Kessia, Yamani Moa. Mirani Daswasano, Yamaya Jidiaso, Paibo Moa, Mojaninti, Yamia Jano, the Sumabue. Yentam Jinafu, Yesu Moja, Rijimaya. We are seeing Huma Kessia, Yamani Moa. Mirani Daswasano. Ya koto jani paibo moa moja ninti na miajano dasu yeah wasanya mabewa antishi moja ejina hi wasanya mabewa jiana. Okay, yeah, ni moja no somfo. Oshisha mania, a brilliant so I fire no more. Watch a no say for one in some more. Yentem jina for Yesu moja, Rijimaya. We are seeing Huma Kessia, Yamani Moa. Mirani Daswasano, Yamaya Chidia so Paibo Moa, Mojaninti, Namia Jano. Yeah. Sing it. Oh, Wasanya Mamewa. Atishi Moja. Yeah. Oh, Wasanya Mamewa Giana. Oh, yeah, Nakaya Titi Dada. Yes, Wama. Osania me Wajiana. Nesuni Majanisi. Yes, yo. Are you ready? What's so assassin? But when you're young, say, oh, assassin, can you why I'm no cherry? Nipato men of the sunina. What's so assassin? What's so putting near one now, woman, go up 7 no. Woman, forward during that name, so I say, woman, hey, woman, Pamo. Ojojo yakra. Mary Pamo. Was searching for what for oh I went what winning some so why ukura the winning some safwa and then say Atishimo jabi abuena noa ekaya nansem semanse usuche yankwano odiye kukwetra nalimo obuye bime afobu obini wa mayembio yentem jinafu yesu moja rejimaye we are Huma Kessia, Yamanemo, Mirani Daswasano, Yamaya Gidia, quite more, Mojaninti, Yamia Jano, the Sumabue, Yentam Jinafu, Yasumoja, Ridimaye, we are Huma Kessia, Yamanemo, Mirani Daswasano. Yakoya koto jani paibo moa moja ninti nyami ya jano dasu yeah wasanya mabewa antishi moja ejina hi wasanya mabewa jiana okay, yeah, ni moja no somfo. Oshisha mania, apruyan so I. O fire no mama. Watch ye no say for one in some more. Yentem jina for yesu moja. Rejimaye. We are see a huma kesi yao. Gamani moa. Merani daswasano, Yamaya Chidia so paibo moa, Mojanim Tina Mia Jano. Yeah, sing it. Oh, one Sunday, I'm oh, yeah, Nakaya Titi Dada. Yes, Wama. Osania me Wajiana. Nensuni Majanis, yes, say yo. Wasanya mamewa. Are you here? Are you here? Are you here? Are you ready? Woso asase. But when you're young, say Oria. Asasiki kane waya me no chere. Nipa to menam ne sunyina. Woso wasoro woso asase. Woso ponini ewo munyina. Na wo me gu wasema nitia no. Wo me fa wo dream ya ne mato ase. Wo me pamo. Hey. Wo me pamo. Wo me pamo. Wo jojo ya kra. Wo me pamo. Was searching for what come, what go for. Oh, I went to what wouldn't need some man so. Why?